On this week's show, COVID-19 hits the New Orleans Saints coaching staff pretty hard this past week. And am I a bad Lions fan for not knowing that we have white pants?
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of the first legal forward pass in college football.
That and much more this week in the world of football. No, seriously, did you know we had white pants?
No, I did not. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 215 for September 21st, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Summer is over.
Tomorrow's the
last day of summer. I mean, by the next podcast, it'll be fall. I mean, Football's already underway. It's that time of year again, but summer, where did you go?
Well, it's still been,
it's been hotter
70s, 80 degrees the last week here in Michigan.
Yeah, I went to a birthday party over the weekend, and we were all outside. And man, even though it's September, still hotter than heck outside.
Really nice. Yeah, it's lasted longer this year than normal, so I'm not complaining at all.
Michigan, if you've never been to Michigan, we have some very fickle weather.
Yes.
Weather reports are usually semi-accurate. So,
are you done babbling now?
Hey, we literally talked about the weather. I don't know how much worse this podcast could get.
We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of the show, as well as selected video highlights. So, let's review what happened this past week, starting with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. Things got kicked off for week 2 of the NFL in Washington, where the football team hosted the New York Giants. And what a dandy of a game this ended up being. I didn't expect such a game that literally came down to the end. But Washington able to pull it out 30-29 over the Giants. I don't know if you caught any of this game. I caught a little bit of it and the tail end of it. And man, the Giants look better than I thought they would be. Mm-hmm. But the football team from Washington also looked better than I thought they'd be. So I don't know if it was just two iffy teams, just lighting it up on each other, but I liked what I saw from a lot of these guys. Quarterback for the Giants, what's his name? They call him Danny Dimes. Help me out here. You're
I'm drawing a blank as well.
Oh my gosh, Daniel Jones, that's his name. He had a few great runs, and even Tyler Heineke, the quarterback for Washington, had a few nice runs, and he's been a nice story to listen to or hear about. He was a backup in the XFL, never saw a snap. Then, his first NFL game is a playoff game against Tom Brady, where I remember him looking pretty dang good. And here he is, first regular season game, and he put up some pretty decent numbers again, and he led the Giants to the victory through one ill-advised interception. But at that point in the game, why was Washington even throwing the ball? They were up. They were trying to run out clock, and they threw the ball, which I thought was a bad call. It got intercepted. Then the Giants took the lead, and then Heineke kind of took them down the field, and they ended up winning the game. So
he was with the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yes, he was a backup to...
We could have seen him play if they hadn't canceled the season the week before
we
got there. Yeah, we had tickets and everything.
Yep, and the wide receiver for Washington, McLaurin, is the first Washington player with 10-plus receptions, 100-plus receiving yards, and a touchdown since Pierre Garçon in 2014 for Washington. So that's a pretty cool little stat.
All right.
Moving on, the New England Patriots bounced back from their loss last week against a division opponent. They beat the Jets 25-6. New England now winning 11 straight games against the Jets. Any thoughts against it? 2 rookie quarterbacks going at it again.
Yeah.
I want to say Sam Darnold, but he is no longer the quarterback of
Mac Jones.
Nope, Zach Wilson, quarterback of the Jets.
Jets.
He threw 4 interceptions in this game, and the poor guy even got asked the dumb question of, were you seeing ghosts out there? Which is what Sam Darnold said after throwing a bunch of interceptions against New England a couple years back. Yeah, so not a good way to start if you're the New York Jets starting quarterback, but they threw up an interesting stat during the day. I don't know if you remember seeing this, where they said, I forget the range of picks, but a top pick quarterback, and he was up there. He was the second quarterback taken in the draft. Throwing 5 interceptions in his first 2 games, was up there with Matthew Stafford, with Peyton Manning throwing 6 in his first few games. So in decent company. Like, not all great quarterbacks start off, great. So hopefully this is a sign of, hey, maybe, eventually he'll be fine. It's your rookie year. Cut the kid some slack. New York, especially.
Well, gosh. It's awfully hard for them to do that. Cut anybody some slack.
That's true.
It's just not in their nature.
I'm just saying, hey, come on, rookie quarterback. You already ran Sam Darnold out of town, and he had a lot of potential, and good things are coming his way in Carolina. We'll get to, but come on, New York media, leave these kids alone. All right, the Denver Broncos got a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 23-13. Jacksonville has lost 17 straight games, which is tied for the longest streak since, and can you name this team?
2005, Washington.
No, it is the 2007 to 2009 Detroit Lions.
Oh, wow.
Yep, so what company we are in and what company the Jaguars are in now. Tying the 17 straight games. Man, oh man. Can it get any worse for Jacksonville right now?
I don't know.
Other than the rumors that Urban Meyer's already talking about leaving.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he one and done?
I thought about this. They're jumping on him already, as a rookie coach. And I just thought back to Tom Landry. I mean, the first year in Dallas, his team went, I think, 1-11. He's a Hall of Fame coach. It takes time, people. Just give them some slack. Let them do their thing. Let them establish, the team the way they want. Get the right players in there. It's not going to happen overnight. Give the man some slack.
True, they should give him some slack. But I can't help but see some comparisons to a Mr. winningest college football coach ever in Nick Saban. The one and done year in Miami. Now he's in Jacksonville, Mr. Urban Meyer. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. A job opened up at USC. I mean, a lot of people are connecting some dots, but we continue. The Buffalo Bills dismantled the Miami Dolphins 35-0.
Wow,
that's right. A big old donut for the Dolphins.
I figured they'd win, but not that bad.
That was bad. And unfortunately for the Dolphins, you lose Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
I don't know
how. That was bad.
That's bad. I don't know how long his injury is out. I heard it was a rib injury. I haven't seen any updates on a timetable. If it's a season ender, if it's just a few weeks.
Yeah,
no idea. But for Buffalo, this is their largest shutout since
2005,
1992, Week 3. So it's been about 30 years since they've had a blowout this big. All right. The San Francisco 49ers went on the road for the second straight week and got a victory, this time in Philadelphia, defeating the Eagles 17-11. What a strange score.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yep, and for San Francisco, who made the Super Bowl in each of their last 2 seasons, in which they started 2-0. So is this a sign of San Francisco going back to the big game?
17-11, that's more of a CFL score that you would see at the end of a game.
But does it indicate that they're going to the Super Bowl because they started 2-0 again?
No.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't think so.
I'm right there with you. I think the Niners will be a borderline playoff team, Super Bowl contender. I'll give it a few more weeks.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
It's too early.
I'm not ready to crown them just yet.
Speaking of teams we're ready to crown, Matthew Stafford, our beloved Saint here in the man cave in Kalamazoo, defeated with his team, I guess, the Indianapolis Colts, 27-24. The Los Angeles Rams came out on top. Los Angeles starting 2-0 for the 4th straight season, and I won't lie, Matthew Stafford didn't look perfect.
No, this was not a cakewalk for the Rams. They had to work for this win.
I mean, they started off looking like they were going to control this, but then Carson Wentz, I'm going to give him a lot of credit. He threw some awesome passes. He did a lot of stuff right, did a few things wrong, and the poor dude ended up breaking both of his ankles during the game or fracturing his ankles or something. Both of them. Like, one is bad enough, but somehow during that game, both ankles.
I didn't hear it was both. I
heard both.
During the game, it was just the one.
At that time, but I heard yesterday it was both. Both ankles are,
Okay, I had not heard that. Wow.
Yeah, so unfortunate for them, but hey, close game, 27-24. The Colts, though they're 0-2, I don't think they're a bad 0-2 team. I mean, you just came up against a really good Rams team and a really good Seahawks team last week. But if you're the Rams, you got to see a little bit of I won't say the downside of Matthew Stafford, but Matt Stafford had a couple of passes where
He should not have.
He should not have thrown him.
Yeah, every once in a while he does do that.
I like that Sean McVay's kind of letting him. Looks like he's almost just letting Stafford kind of dictate how their passing game is going to go.
Sure.
But when you leave it to him a little too much, I think Stafford gets a little too. He'll force the ball in there, and I love that. But sometimes it doesn't go your way, so you got to be prepared for a few of those.
Yep.
And he took a couple of bad sacks too that I feel like he could have avoided. But that's just me.
They still won.
But they still won. That's all that matters is that win column, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And staying healthy because Stafford did hurt that thumb during that game too.
Again. He's always had a problem with his throwing the thumb on his.
And it wasn't like I thought maybe he hit a guy's helmet, but he hit a Colts player's shoulder pads. So that thumb's already seen enough. I mean, just smacking it on somebody's shoulder pads ain't gonna make it feel any better. How about this? The Raiders upset the Steelers in Pittsburgh, 26-17. This didn't even look close. The Raiders, every time we had this game kind of in picture, and I kept an eye on this game a little bit, but it just looked like the Raiders were having their way with the Steelers all game long on offense. And I mean, Pittsburgh, they got down the field a couple of times, but man, the Raiders look like the better team.
Yeah, they look surprisingly good. I didn't think they were going to be that good this early in the season. Right. But, so far, they're looking mighty good this year.
Yep, and for the Raiders, you got to like this. Derek Carr, 350-plus passing yards, 2+ passing touchdowns in three straight games, which is the longest streak in Las Vegas history.
Wow.
So I'm not sure if that also means it dates back to Oakland/LA Raiders history,
Could be.
Still, I mean, Derek Carr is an underrated quarterback. He's kind of been like Matt Stafford, where I don't think he gets the kind of love he deserves because of the team he plays on.
Right.
So, yeah, I like Derek Carr quite a bit. Moving on, the Chicago Bears got a victory at home against the Bengals, 20-17. The Bears' defense had 4 takeaways in the second half alone. They also lost starting quarterback, the Red Rocket, or Red Rifle, whatever they call him, Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. That's his name. Man, a lot of names you got to remember when you do a podcast.
We don't have too many notes in front of us, especially for all the different NFL games.
It's like sometimes we got the scores in front of us. I watched all the games, but then in the moment sometimes you just have a brain fart. That's all it is. Okay? But anyway, Andy Dalton going down with an injury. In comes the rookie from Ohio State, whose name, now I'm blanking on his name. Justin Fields. Thank you so much.
I remembered half of the name.
Yeah. Justin Fields came in. Looked like a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So he's going to, we'll see if he's got to start next week for the Bears or not.
No, they said that if Dalton is healthy,
he's the starter if they're healthy, but I don't know how long that injury.
Yeah, I don't think Justin Fields is ready to be a starting quarterback yet.
Not just yet. Not till he plays the Lions. Yeah. Then you can start him.
Start him against the Lions, and that'll do wonders for his attitude and his stats in his career.
Oh, yeah. And the Cleveland Browns defeated the Houston Texans 31-21. Cleveland now 6-0 in games following a loss under head coach Kevin Stefanski. So I think that is a good stat to have. You can bounce back from a loss, and that was a tough loss last week. You looked good for most of that game against the Chiefs. You bounce back this week, so you get a win that you probably should get anyway. But it's nice to see that you don't collapse under, we lost last week to Patrick Mahomes, boo-hoo, woe was us. You bounce back, and you look pretty good doing it. And one thing I want to talk about from this game real quick. Did you see, and I can't believe that this happened, the Texans had a 3rd and 15, I believe, and they got like 12 yards on the player, 13 yards on the play. There was a penalty, offsides on Cleveland. And what would you do in that situation? Wouldn't you decline the penalty and go 3rd and 10 again? Have a do-over?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the smart coach would do. Apparently, and I watched the video, the Texans opted to decline the penalty, take it at 4th and 2, and then they punted. They didn't even take a do-over. Who does that? Come on, Houston.
A team that's not going anywhere.
Apparently. I just thought that was crazy. And yes, that happened. Go look it up.
Yeah.
Moving on, the Carolina Panthers had their way with the New Orleans Saints, 26-7 in an NFC South showdown. Sam Darnold, it's his first 2-0 start of his career. And we were just talking about him earlier, having a hard time with the Jets. And here he is, thriving with the Panthers. So good for him. And the Saints, what a disappointing result after last week's drubbing of the Packers. This week, they get drubbed. So
I wonder if the fact that they had 8 coaches out
for
the game had anything to do with it. The Saints had 8 coaches. that weren't there for the game against the Panthers after they all tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah, I saw that.
Receivers coach Curtis Johnson, tight ends coach Dan Ruchar, running backs coach Joel Thomas, offensive analyst Jim Chaney, offensive assistant Declan Doyle, special teams assistant Phil Galliano, assistant head coach and defensive line coach Ryan Nielsen, and defensive assistant Brian Young. But no players were affected by this. Only the coaching staff. That is a little strange.
Very strange, very interesting. And I mean, you look at how you play on the game day, and coaches have an impact on the game. People just think, oh, you could just go line up out there. You don't really need a coach to tell you what to do as long as you do what you practice all week. I'm sorry. I think this was an effect. I think some of these, having these guys on the sidelines or up in the booth talking to these guys, you get into a rhythm, you get into a comfortable pattern with them, and all of a sudden they're not there.
They're there
throws off your rhythm
to make decisions on the fly, and if they're not there, somebody else is trying to make a decision on the fly.
That doesn't normally have to make those decisions.
It might not work.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely a factor. I won't say it was the complete factor. I do think some of the Jameis Winston's got to stop throwing terrible interceptions. Alvin Kamara's got to look a little better. And I'm not just speaking for us fantasy owners who had him this week, but you just got to play a little better. And you can't get complacent. You can't go in after beating the Packers the way you did last week. You can't. Hopefully they didn't come in saying, "Oh, we don't need those 8 coaches. We're the Saints. We'll handle any team." And then you get punched in the teeth by the Panthers, who look like they're going to be a pretty tough team this season. All right, moving on. This game, what a heck of a game this was. The Arizona Cardinals just barely got by the Minnesota Vikings, and we literally mean just by the Minnesota Vikings, 34-33. The home team has won each of the last 8 matchups between these two teams. And if you're Minnesota, are you looking for a new field goal kicker? Because that last-second field goal missed wide right by the Vikings is what sealed the victory for the Cardinals. Even the play-by-play guy got fooled. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, he thought it was good.
The Vikings play-by-play guy thought it was good, and the sad reality was, it was not good.
That was embarrassing.
Can you imagine listening to that on the radio if you're a Minnesota fan? Like, yes!
Yeah, if you can't see it,
you're punching the air, you're hitting the dashboard, you're probably flipping off a Cardinals fan driving next to you just to find out your team lost.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, but Kyler, oh my gosh. Can we not gush enough over Kyler Murray and how awesome this kid is at quarterback? I love watching him play. As soon as I see him roll out, and he's got nothing but green, like maybe not just green grass, but there's enough room between him and a defender for him to set his feet and, get the throwing motion down and just heave the ball down the field, whether or not a guy's open or if he's going to throw a Hail Murray like to DeAndre Hopkins last year. I mean, I love watching this kid. It's so fun watching the Cardinals. And 2-0 start for them, so go Cardinals.
You just want to go to Arizona and see a game.
I do. One of these days I do. My old roommate lives out there, and I know one of our buddies from our fantasy league is going to see him, he's going to go to his first NFL game without me, which I'm a little sad about. Yeah. But one of these days I want to.
We went to the stadium, and we missed out on
couldn't even get out of the gift shop.
But we went to the gift shop, and we got to look through the glass doors into the stadium. But
could barely even see anything then.
That's as far as we got. But it'd be nice to go to a game there.
Yep. All right, moving on. The Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Atlanta Falcons 48-25. Tom Brady with 4+ passing touchdowns in 4 straight games, which is tied for the second longest streak since 1950. Is there anything this guy can't do? Tom Brady's going to play until he's 50 at this point.
He cannot make very good Subway commercials.
Well, that's debatable. But I'm bewildered at how great this guy is. Like, I thought maybe he'd be okay, system quarterback in Tampa, but he's still slinging it. Dude is 10 years older than me, and he's killing it in the NFL. And
while you're laying on the couch eating Cheetos going, oh, what's the matter with this team?
Yeah, pretty much. Or, that one Cheeto falls onto the floor and you can't reach it, and you're just like, it's not even worth rolling over to go get. But stop telling people how we watch the games, okay? Guys?
Well, that's how most people watch the games.
This is very true.
Of course, you got your phone in looking at your fantasy players and crap like that.
But you also got to get it just right where you get your bowl of dip right there on your chest. Yeah. You turn your head like this to watch the game, and you dip it, and then you can eat the chips like that.
Yeah, right.
All right, moving on. This was a game. The Tennessee Titans shocked the Seattle Seahawks 33-30 in overtime. What a finish this was, and a tale of two halves, because I don't think the Titans could find their way out of a wet paper bag during the first half. Second half, totally different story. Derrick Henry came alive and just ran all over the Seahawks defense. Derrick Henry with 41 touches, 237 scrimmage yards, and 3 touchdowns. Shoot, if he got one more, we'd be calling him the Al Bundy of the NFL. So yeah, how about them Titans getting a nice win after a embarrassing loss last week?
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, that was a statement win. And like we said, it's early. These teams, we're going to figure out these teams in the next coming weeks. But it was good to see the Titans had a little bit of life after seeing what happened to them last week.
Early in the season, I think a lot of teams get lucky on some of these wins. But as the season goes along, it's not going to be luck. You're going to have to earn every win you get.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that too much. And then on the Seattle side of things, Russ just couldn't get anything going there in overtime. They had a chance.
Yeah, they did.
But they just, he almost took a safety there too. So that offensive line didn't help him out much at all either.
Yeah. I thought it was a safety when I saw that the first time.
In real time.
But no, the ball was just barely around the 1 yard line.
And then Dad's favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 20-17. Greg Zuerlein kicking the game-winning 56-yard field goal as time expired for the Cowboys. Wow.
Yeah.
What a way
to
finish that game.
I kind of thought Dallas would win.
We both did.
Yeah. Not that I'm rooting for them, but I just thought that they would find a way to win that game. And they did.
And the Chargers are a good young team. Dallas is also one of those teams we're waiting to figure out, like, all right, this year, are you going to... I kicked my camera right there. Are you going to be any good, Dallas, or are you going to be the same old Cowboys that, are all talk and no substance?
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll see in the coming weeks.
I love. This is why we love the NFL. It's early. Every team's still, even if your team's 0-2 and you might have had a couple of rough losses, you're still in it technically, even though the numbers and the math will say no 0-2 teams have made the playoffs and blah, blah, blah. I throw all that garbage out of the window because every year's a different animal. So,
well, 0-2 is not the same as what it used to be because 0-2 in a 16-week season or 16-game season is now 0-2 in a 17
game. Yeah.
So you've got an extra game to make up one of those losses.
See, this is why we have you around. Sometimes you say smart stuff.
Okay.
Are you flattered or are you insulted?
I'm shocked that you said something nice about me.
Backhanded compliment. Anyway, then the Sunday night game. What a game. I was only able to watch some of this live, and I think it was like the first quarter and some change maybe. Mm-hmm. But when I left, it was Kansas City 14, Baltimore 7. And Baltimore found a way to come out and win this game 36-35. I don't know how much of this you watched.
I went to bed sometime after halftime. I think just as the third quarter was starting, I went to bed.
Yeah, because I watched the highlights from this. I had to know how did the Ravens do this, and it was the Lamar show.
Yeah.
As much as Patrick Mahomes was still throwing dimes and slinging it, you got to give credit to Lamar. I mean, people will knock Lamar for not being able to throw 300 yards a game. Well, guess what? He doesn't have to throw 300 yards a game because the dude, if he finds a crease and a hole, he's going to run, and he will be a legitimate threat to score a touchdown wherever he's at on the field that way. Lamar, it's his 9th career game with 100-plus passing yards and 100-plus rushing yards, which is the most since 1950. This guy's electric. And that one play that everybody saw it, the highlight of Coach John Harbaugh looking at Lamar on a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 at the end of the game to just ice it, just to run out the clock on Kansas City to prevent them from getting the ball back. And he said, "Hey, Lamar, do you want to go for it?" And Lamar said, "Heck yeah, I want to go for it." And he ran it, got the first down. That's it. Game over.
Yeah.
Clock's going to run down, and there's no way Kansas City can stop him out of timeout. So
yeah, well, Kansas City fumbled there at the end. I mean, they had a chance to.
Oh yeah, that running back, Edwards-Helaire. Oh my gosh, what a
they
tough
fumbled
break
at the wrong time, which gave the ball back to Baltimore at the end of the game, and that's how they were able to run the clock out.
Yeah, so tough loss for the Chiefs, but maybe sometimes if you're a Chiefs fan, maybe you want one of these losses early in the season, like a little bit of a wake-up call, because you're so consistently good that maybe you do need that little, like, we need to be humbled just a smidge, but then we're going to come out and then we're going to still kick some butt the rest of the year. You still got Patrick Mahomes, and you're still a great team. You just had one bad fumble kind of cost you the game, and if that's how you're going to lose, I'd rather take that than how the next team ended up losing, which is on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Our beloved Detroit Lions, all in white, left Green Bay all in green, because Green Bay ran all over us into the grass.
Yeah, their white uniforms were all full of grass stains from being trampled over.
And it's about those white uniforms. I saw that tweet from the Lions official Twitter saying, tonight we're going all white. And I had to look and think about it. I was like, I don't remember them ever saying anything about having all or white pants at all. White jersey, obviously.
Sure.
But
we always had gray or silver pants to go with
white
white
pants?
jersey.
Like, they look like the white pants like that picture you got there behind you from your Coffin Corner cover. Like, not since the 50s have the Lions worn any sort of white pants. I've never seen it. You've never seen it, probably.
No.
So it was a weird thing. No stripe, even.
Yeah,
like somebody
it needed a stripe.
Somebody joked, like, did they just go to Dick's Sporting Goods and just pick up a bunch of football pants right there? Like,
it's like the high school pants I wore, at Maple Valley.
Well, no, because these ones
pants.
had little Nike swooshes on them. That was too much for your little high school to afford.
Whatever.
But anyway, to the game. This was definitely, as most Lions games end up being, it's a tale of two halves.
Right.
The first half was probably some of the greatest Lions football I've watched in a long time.
They hung with them.
Drive
for drive.
They looked better than Green Bay for much of this.
Yes.
I mean, even though Green Bay could still march down the field, and yes, our defense ain't perfect, but Jared Goff looked good. Quintez Cephas, a lot of you probably don't know who he is. He looked good. And we had several other guys you probably don't know looked good.
Yes.
And Goff, throwing some dimes to a great touchdown pass to Hawkinson in the corner of the end zone.
And he was getting some good protection.
And
even late in the game, he was still getting
the best
good
offensive
protection.
line play I've ever seen the Lions have in my life. I'm 32 years old, and that is the best offensive line play I've ever seen. Like, for the line, it was incredible. I was like, if Stafford was there, Stafford wouldn't even be upset. This pocket is clean. He was clean for that first half.
Yeah.
Second half, not so much. Lions went into halftime up 17-14.
Yep.
Green Bay gets the ball back second half, and Aaron Rodgers finally just said, you know what? We're going to dink it, dunk it. I'm going to get the ball out to Aaron Jones as much as I can. And
we could not stop the passing game.
They couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
And that's just it. And you'll complain about a fourth down call. The Lions went for it instead of kicking a field goal to go down by 1 point.
I thought that was the
I
wrong
will
call.
argue that it was the right call, because with Green Bay, you do not beat this Green Bay team with field goals.
Well,
would a field goal put you down by 1 point? Yeah, sure. If you made it, sure. But my argument would be you need a touchdown to at least stay in the game. A field goal will buy you that drive, but Green Bay goes down again, scores another touchdown. You go down, kick another field goal. They're just going to start pulling away, and you were trying to keep up with them, and I admire it. I know a lot of fans in hindsight will be like, that was the wrong call. I don't think it was.
No, I said it at the time. I didn't think it was the right call.
I know you did, and I think you're wrong. And that's just where we're going to be different on this. And Aaron Jones is the first running back in Green Bay history with 3 receiving touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in a single game. Big game for him. Big game for Aaron Rodgers. Big game for the Packers at home. Good bounce back win for them if you're a Packer fan after last week's drubbing in Jacksonville against New Orleans.
The fact that Detroit was shut out in the second half just astounds me. They played so well in the first half.
That's when the rain started, because then that affected Goff handling the football. And we just looked like a totally different team. And I don't know, like last week it was the opposite. They looked crappy in the first half. Second half they kind of came out with a little more fight, maybe sort of. Well, towards the fourth quarter. But so still a new coaching staff, still working some stuff out. We're losing some young players, which is rough. We've lost another cornerback.
Yeah.
Which I thought he did fine for some of the game. Then he got hurt. So we'll see. 2 weeks in, like I said, I'd throw a parade for 6 wins. Are we going to get there?
Well, our defensive line got a couple of sacks on Rodgers. That was good. Sacked him at least 3 times, I think, in that game, if not more. But yeah, we've shown some improvement in some areas, but our defensive backfield is still a sore spot. So we'll see. Maybe they can pick up some few guys off the waiver wire or free agents, whatever.
Yeah, we'll see.
They need help.
We'll see. They got a big game this weekend, which I'm going to be at, so that'll be fun. But that's it for our NFL portion of the scoreboard. Now we move on to the CFL portion of our scoreboard, and we start with the Friday night's game, which saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the Calgary Stampeders 23-17. Hamilton quarterback Dane Evans did not play, so quarterback David Watford made his first ever CFL start, and Watford was 19-22 for 149 yards. He also led the team in rushing with 10 carries for 35 yards. That's probably a record in Canada, don't you think? There were also no offensive touchdowns for Hamilton in the game. Kicker Taylor Bertolli.
Bertolette.
Oh, Bertolette. See,
Yeah, I had to watch the
okay,
highlights.
Bertolette. Fine.
I was
would
going
have
to say Bertolet, thinking it was French, but
Okay.
they pronounced it Bertolette.
All right,
so
Bertolette.
that's what we're going with.
Mr. Bertolette had 5 field goals, and then linebacker Simone Lawrence had a 15-yard pick six in the third quarter. Hamilton is undefeated at home this season, which is a nice statistic there for you if you're Hamilton. And for Calgary, quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell was 16 of 28 passing for 170 yards and an interception. He was then benched later in the game and replaced by Jake Mayer, who was 9 of 9 passing for 80 yards and a touchdown and ran 2 times for 3 yards and another touchdown. So the big question on your mind when you were telling me about this game was, could there be a quarterback controversy brewing in Calgary?
Well, Mayer came in for those 2 or 3 games and played really well.
Won one game out of the two or three.
One out of 3, but I mean, he played really well in those games.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a rookie or a new guy to the CFL, and he just did really well. And of course, when Bo Levi Mitchell was healthy, he came back. He kind of struggled a little bit, so they pulled him and put Mayer in, and Mayer did extremely well in that game, even though they still lost. So I have to keep an eye on who's going to be the starting quarterback going forward.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Like I said, I like that Mayer, filling in.
Yep,
and
he did a great job.
So maybe it is time to just pass the ball to
I don't know about that.
We'll see. We'll see what Calgary does.
Yep.
Also Friday night saw the Saskatchewan Roughriders get back in the win column, this time over the Toronto Argonauts, 30-16. Saskatchewan snapping the 2-game losing streak they've had against the Blue Bombers, especially because they played the back-to-back against them. The Rough Riders quarterback Cody Fajardo was 21 of 31 passing for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran 8 times for 58 yards and another touchdown. Running back William Powell carried the ball 21 times for 122 yards. And wide receiver Kyan Schaefer-Baker, wow, say that name 10 times fast.
Yeah, I had to see this too. They pronounce it Kian. I thought it was Kyan.
Oh,
but
Kian.
They pronounce it Kian.
Kyan Schaefer-Baker caught 9 passes for 99 yards and a touchdown. Man, poor guy couldn't just get that one extra yard to get him over the triple digit.
But that was his first touchdown in the CFL.
Yeah, congratulations to him. And you thought these were the second best highlights of the week.
Yes, those were some great highlights in this game, but there was one game that was even better, and we'll talk about that here shortly.
All right, was it the British Columbia Lions defeating the Montreal Alouettes 27-18?
No.
No? Okay. Well, it's the third win in a row for British Columbia. Lions quarterback Michael Riley was 21 of 25 for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Lucky Whitehead had 6 catches for 133 yards and a touchdown, including a 75-yard catch and run in the second quarter. And then Montreal's kicker David Cote kicked 6 field goals in the game. So
yeah, you remember Lucky Whitehead last week. He had
he's done
missed
a lot.
field goal return, 119 yards for a touchdown, and this week he has a 75-yard catch and run. That was a long pass, so I think he ran the last 20 yards, so it was like 50 yards in the air, and he just ran away from the defender.
Yeah.
So he's having a heck of a season so far. So keep an eye on Lucky Whitehead.
Yep. All right, and then the final game of the weekend saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeat the Edmonton Elks 37-22. Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros was 19 of 24 for 252 yards passing with a touchdown. Running back Andrew Harris ran the ball 19 times for 97 yards. And wide receiver Rasheed Bailey caught 6 passes for 72 yards. The Winnipeg defense also added 2 touchdowns, including a 3-yard fumble recovery and score by linebacker Adam Big Hill, and a 20-yard interception return for a score by defensive back DeAndre Alford. According to you, these were the best highlights of the weekend.
There were so many great highlights. Guys that would not be brought down when they were running. You had 3 or 4 guys hanging all over them, and they just kept it going. There were fumbles. There were interceptions. Just a ton of awesome highlights in this game. This game had the best highlights of the week. Go check them out on CFL.ca. Yeah. That was the Winnipeg and Edmonton game.
Yeah.
Great highlights.
Yeah, like I said, I'd like to, anytime I get a chance, because sometimes, the CFL games aren't on our ESPNs here in the States. So I do like to catch, they got great recaps. I have the app. Yeah. You can catch the highlights in the app, too. So that's a great way to keep up with things. Yeah. Even though the app doesn't update the logos, they keep update with the score and the standings. and the highlights.
The highlights are only like 7 or 8 minutes long.
They do a great job packaging those up.
Yeah, and it's not just the scoring plays, but just like a good run they'll show, or a field goal. They'll show a field goal being made. It's kind of nice to see these things being made. So yeah, check out the CFL highlights.
Yeah, they've been pretty good about that for the last few years. Mm-hmm. And then on bye this week, the Ottawa Red Blacks, their next game will be at home against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and that's actually tomorrow night.
Yeah, Wednesday night. I don't know why they scheduled a game on a Wednesday night, but they've got a game on Wednesday night and then 2 games on Friday night, and that's it. They've got 3 teams on bye this week. So by Friday night, their week will be done.
Yep, all right. And then looking at the standings real quick, in the West, Winnipeg is up 6-1 in that division, followed by Saskatchewan at 4-2, and British Columbia right behind them at 4-2. So, British Columbia, what a bounce back for them. Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, winning, well, in the notes, 3 straight games for them to pull them back up. And then Edmonton falling to 2-4, while Calgary also falls to 2-5. Moving over to the East, it is Hamilton who jumps back up to the top with a tiebreaker over the Argonauts right now. They are 3-3 along with the Argonauts. And then Montreal at 2-3, followed by Ottawa at 1-4.
Yeah, Ottawa, the worst record in the league right now.
Well, we'll see if they can bounce back after their bye. And that's it for the CFL portion of our scoreboard. And now we move over to Randy, who will enlighten us, nay, inspire us with the glorious rundown of college football across its many divisions, many levels, and even crossing a border.
Yeah. Every week I look at some of these scores and I think, man, I want to add all these scores to the rundown, but there's just so many, and still I have a ton of them.
Unless you want to add them in post, and we just put the Benny Hill music to them, and we just run through every game possible. It might take us a couple minutes, but we could do it.
No, but let's start with the FBS level. Number 1 Alabama squeaked by number 11 Florida, 31-29. Did you see much of this game?
I did not. Other than because it was Saturday, and that's when I was at the birthday party. Other than seeing that they were up for a while, then to see that final score, and I was a little surprised that they even let Florida back into that game. But again, Florida, number 11 team in the country, also an SEC rival. You'd probably would expect nothing less from an SEC school to compete with another SEC school.
Well, Alabama played a lower level team last week,
they played Mercer last week, I believe.
and of course they beat up on them. So now they play another ranked team and barely beat them. So they need that kind of competition, I think, if they want to stay number 1. Let's see, number 2 Georgia over South Carolina, 40-13. It was number 3 Oklahoma over Nebraska, 23-16. And at number 4, Oregon this week over an FCS team, Stony Brook, by the score of 48-7. In other top 25 scores, number 10 Penn State over number 22 Auburn, 28-20. This was their annual whiteout game.
Oh, these are
great pictures.
Always great to see a whiteout game at Penn State. They pull it off so well. Anytime a school does a whatever color out game, a blackout game, a whiteout game, a gold out game, whatever you want to call it. It's always so cool.
Everybody, wearing white. I don't know if they all had white pom-poms or something, but
probably.
That whole stadium was just a sea of white. And to see some of the aerial shots of the packed house with everybody in white, it was awesome. And Michigan had something similar too. I don't know if it was this week or not, but I saw pictures of Michigan Stadium where everybody was wearing gold, pretty much.
Maize.
Or maize, maize.
A maize out.
But I love stuff like that.
That's what makes college so unique and special compared to the NFL. You might get an NFL game where they'll say, "Hey, it's a blackout game, wear your black shirts or whatever." But college football does it so well.
Yeah, in the NFL, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to wear what I want. I'm paying so much for these tickets." But in college, they tell you to wear black, you're going to wear black or any color. Wear rainbow colors this week. Everybody's going to do it because that's what the team told them.
It's just a whole different atmosphere. It's more community based. I think these NFL teams, while they're in a community, I mean, it's not like what a college team does for a local community at all. Mm-hmm. It's totally different level.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Number 16, Coastal Carolina held off Buffalo from the MAC by the score of 28-25. So good for Buffalo.
Always love seeing a MAC school
pushing the number 16 team right to the edge.
I love seeing MAC schools compete with these bigger. We always, like when Western made their run, we always talk about that. It was great seeing them play with the Big Ten teams and beating Big Ten teams, hanging with Big Ten teams.
They weren't always beating them, but a couple years ago they did. They beat a couple of Big Ten teams. the year they went to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, yeah, they hung with Wisconsin.
but they usually play a Big Ten team or at least two really big major schools every year before they get into the conference.
But I mean, that goes across for all these MAC schools. Sometimes, I mean, once in a while, you'll see a MAC school really just like outplay a big school. Whether or not, the MAC school is that much better, maybe it's just they caught them by surprise. Maybe they were underestimated going into the game.
Yep.
What have you? It's so I just love seeing like that they put them, to the test,
Yep.
and it helps feel like the MAC is validated. Like they're not just some lower division college football that doesn't belong.
Right.
I mean,
they're not just there to pick up a paycheck
Right.
by playing a bigger school, but they're there to get better.
Now, are there some times where a team gets blown out, like Western did against Michigan a couple weeks ago? Sure, it happens.
Yeah.
But hey, sometimes you get a result like this, and these are the results we want. And shoot, we have another MAC school we'll talk about, or you'll talk about in a second, that did put it to a big name school. So we'll get there in a minute.
All right, in some upsets this week was Fresno State upsetting number 13 UCLA by the score of 40-37. West Virginia upsets number 15 Virginia Tech 27-21. Michigan State upsets number 24 Miami of Florida by the score of 38-17. And Western Michigan, our beloved Broncos, you could say this was an upset over the ACC school Pittsburgh by the score of 44-41. This game was not on TV around here. I wanted to see it so bad. I grabbed my laptop and I went to ESPN Plus and I pulled up the game. It was really spotty, my internet connection, so I didn't get to see most of the game.
Awful.
But I got it back up towards the end of the game, and I watched the last few minutes, and what an awesome end of the game.
Yeah, first win over a Power 5 school since 2017.
Yep.
Heck of a job for the Broncos, and like that was what I'm talking about. This is a MAC school being an ACC team.
Right.
ACC is a Power 5 conference.
Yep.
So it's great to see that. I mean, Pittsburgh's not the elite ACC team, but still, it's an ACC team. Right. I'd be impressed if a MAC school beat Western did that the year they went to the Cotton Bowl. You beat your lower tier like Illinois. I want to say they're like mid tier, but Pittsburgh's like a mid tier ACC team. So still great to see Western bounce back after
on the road.
Yeah. And after they got shellacked by Michigan, then they kind of got a cream puff in an FCS school last week that you went and saw.
Right.
And then now you play an ACC school, a Power 5 school, and you beat them. I don't care if it's 44-41 or if it's 3-0. Western, got the win, and that's all we're going to talk about.
Yep.
Good job, Western.
They were in a position to run out the clock at the end, and that was great. Just really, really fun to watch that at the end of the game. I wish I could have watched the whole thing, but didn't happen.
And we'll talk a little bit more about Western later in the news, too.
Yeah. All right, blowouts and shutouts. Number 17, Ole Miss over Tulane, 61-21. Number 25, Michigan over Northern Illinois, which is a MAC school, 63-10. Syracuse over an FCS school, Albany of New York, 62-24. Washington over Arkansas State, 52-3. Tennessee shut out an FCS school, Tennessee Tech, by the score of 56-0. Texas shut out Rice, 58-0. Houston shut out FCS Grambling, 45-0. Oregon State shut out Idaho, 42-0. Number 7, Texas A&M shut out New Mexico, 34-0. And Minnesota shut out Colorado by the score of 30-0. So, I mean, some of those were, big school beating up on another big school.
Yeah.
It's not always the FCS schools or lower level schools that they beat up on. Sometimes they're beating up on the bigger schools that just aren't very good this year.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the military academies. It was Army over Yukon, 52-21. And Utah State over Air Force, 49-45. I caught the tail end of this game, and I thought Air Force was going to win this game, but they had some turnovers, I think, at the end of the game and wound up losing. But in a losing cause, Air Force racked up 437 yards rushing in this game. They had two running backs that were both over 100 yards, and their quarterback, Hazik Daniels, also had 95 yards rushing. So three guys, almost 300 yards just in those three guys. So in a losing cause.
Yeah,
it's disappointing that they didn't get the win. But and then Navy did not play this week. So that's it for the military academies. So let's look at some of the lower level spotlight scores. In the FCS, it was Harvard defeating Georgetown 44-9. In Division II, it was Slippery Rock over Lock Haven 57-7. Division III, it was the Colorado School of Mines shutting out Fort Lewis by the score of 76-0. At the NAIA level, it was Tuskegee University over Edward Waters of Florida, 23-6. In the National Junior College Athletic Association, our beloved Snow Badgers got their third win in a row of the season, defeating the McDougal Technical Institute by the score of 84-7. And in 3 games this year, Snow College has outscored their opponents 232-7.
Dang.
Good for Snow College. They've had some lean years. They've had some good years. Played in some national championship games, but they're on a fast start this year. Of course, their opponents are a little suspect right now, but we'll see. All right, U Sports in Canada, college football in Canada. It was the Concordia Stingers over the McGill Redbirds, 36-33 in overtime in the 57th Shaughnessy Cup football game. Now, I knew nothing about this. I was just looking for scores, and I saw a little note saying, that this was the Shaughnessy Cup, and I didn't know what it was. But the Shaughnessy Cup is named after legendary McGill coach Frank Shaughnessy, who was inducted into the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame as a builder back in 1963. He introduced the forward pass to college football in Canada in 1921 during an exhibition game between McGill and the NCAA's Syracuse Orangemen at Molson Stadium in Montreal.
Okay.
So, we'll have a little bit more on the forward pass and the history of that in our history lesson.
Yep, and real quick, I guess I just want to say a builder, people hear you say inducted into the Hall of Fame as a builder. What does that mean? Well, a builder is just a not a front office, but a person that helped construct.
Right. There are players. There are players and there are builders. So sometimes coaches are builders.
Right.
Or it could be a team executive, a team owner maybe that did some great things to forward the game. So even the NFL has got that now. They've added a builder category to the.
I just know that's a term that I feel like a lot of fans probably aren't familiar with just yet.
Right.
So.
Yep, but he was. I think that was their inaugural class of Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 1963. So he was one of the first people in there.
Okay, and one more score.
The Canadian Junior Football League. It was the Edmonton Wildcats over the Calgary Colts by the score of 42-22.
Woo.
And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard.
Man, oh man, what a week again.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's so many scores, and I shouldn't have put all those blowouts and shutouts, but. Man, there was such a diverse amount of teams and scores and everything that I just found it fascinating.
Hey, of course. I mean, and if you guys got teams out there you like to follow, I mean, it's also nice to see what's going on everywhere else. Like you might be a fan of one of these smaller Division 2 or 3 schools, and it's kind of nice getting a little highlight. Maybe your team got mentioned this week. Are you a Slippery Rock fan? I'd love to hear about it. I know Michigan loves Slippery Rock.
Yeah, they do.
But I think it's kind of cool that we highlight some of these smaller schools. It's unfortunate that we can't do all of them, but like I said, I will add the Benny Hill music, and we can just throw up all of them onto the video.
Well, between all these levels, at least in the United States, there's well over 700. I think it's close to 800 teams and schools, and you add the Canadian 2 levels of college football up there, and you could be talking 900 different schools and teams. So that's what 450 games a week.
Yeah,
it's just way too many.
I could fit maybe 10 on the screen at one time.
Yeah.
So
but we just love talking about it. And I love seeing some of these teams you've never heard of and give their score.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on, shall we?
All right. NFL news. The NFL will be hosting a scouting combine for international players in London on October 12th at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And that's going to take place 2 days after the Jets-Falcons game on October 10th. That's scheduled for next month. Selected players could end up on an NFL roster in the 2022 season. The NFL previously held international scouting combines in Australia in 2018 and in Germany in 2019. So, giving a chance to some of these players, giving a look to some linemen, some receivers. I don't think you're going to find a quarterback for the NFL over there, but you could find a receiver, a return man.
Never say never.
Kicker.
You never know. We could have a Ted Lasso type guy come out of Mozambique for all we know.
Have we mentioned Ted Lasso just about every week of our show?
I don't know, but if you're not watching Ted Lasso, you might be a loser. And I'm pointing it.
I'm not watching it.
You should. It's great.
I didn't like the first episode.
Oh my! He didn't like the first episode, so he's going to throw the whole show in the garbage. You got to get to episode 2. That's where everything picks up.
Oh yeah.
You frustrate me.
Yeah, maybe.
It won a bunch of Emmys.
Yeah, I know it did. But,
you knuckle dragger. Unsophisticated swine.
In college news...
Back me up, Twitter.
Eastern University in Pennsylvania is going to be adding football next year and will begin competing on the gridiron in 2023. They will play in the Middle Atlantic Conference in Division III. So, it seemed like last year during COVID we had so many reports of schools dropping their football programs because they just couldn't support them anymore. But little by little, schools are still adding football. Yeah. They still want football. They want that experience for their students. They want the money that football brings in, and so here's another school, be it a Division III school, but another school that is bringing football. I don't know if they've ever had it before. I don't remember seeing if they actually had football at one time, got rid of it, but they are adding football next year. I guess they'll start putting the team together, but they won't actually start competing in games until 2023. All right, in other college news, our own Western Michigan coach Tim Lester tested positive for COVID yesterday, which was Monday of this week.
And they said he's going to miss the upcoming game they got this week. The
Yeah,
game that we're going to be at.
Yeah.
So that'll be weird.
He said that he started feeling some symptoms on Sunday, mild symptoms. He's fully vaccinated, but he tested positive, and they're just being precautious.
Yeah.
So like you said, he won't be in the game. We actually interviewed Coach Lester.
We as in you.
Okay, I did. Back in April 27th of 2020, and we did it through Zoom, and he talked about his time in the 2001 XFL when he played for the Chicago Enforcers, which was your favorite team in the XFL back then.
Yeah, it was.
And, very interesting conversation, so if you want to go check that out, that was episode 139 from April of 2020.
And you want to know what I bet Coach Lester's going to do with his time off, besides preparing and helping his team off to the side? He's probably going to be sitting at home watching Ted Lasso, one of the best TV shows. He's got time to do it now. Catch up, Coach.
I hope he's got better things to do than that.
I bet you he loves Ted Lasso, and you're just public enemy number one now. Who's an anti-Ted Lasso person? Only the worst people in the world are probably anti-Ted Lasso people.
Because it's not football, it's football. That's why I'm not watching it.
But he's a football coach, coaching football.
Yeah, well, there's no pigskins flying around.
Oh my God, who cares? It's a great heartwarming show. You need to watch it. Have some feelings for once.
We got some high school news here. All the talk last week or week before was how ESPN got duped into showing that
for the last few weeks. Bishop
Sycamore team, and this past weekend, they actually showed a real high school football game, which I still don't agree with.
Which was entertaining as heck at the end.
Yep. Hamilton High School from Arizona was down by 17 points by the score of 24-7 to Bishop Gorman from Nevada with 1 minute to play. They wound up kicking a field goal and then recovered the onside kick and scored another touchdown. Then they recovered a second onside kick, scored a touchdown, and went for 2 points and won the game 25-24.
What a wild finish to that game.
Yeah, well, this is the exception. I still don't like the idea of ESPN showing high school games on national TV. I just don't. I don't think teams should be playing teams from other states unless they're right across the border.
Yeah, we heard your rant last week.
But yeah, I don't agree with it. I'm sorry. Just like Ted Lasso, I just don't agree with it.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna reach across the table and I'm just gonna strangle you.
All right, that's enough for Ted Lasso talk.
Oh, but you know what he does watch, everybody? He watches Eli's Places.
That's a good show.
And I finally watched an episode, and guess what? I'll probably watch more episodes, because you know what you do when you watch a show? You watch more than one episode and don't judge it based on one episode.
Yeah, this was the third episode. The first two were really good. This one was just so-so.
I liked it. I was charmed. Maybe it's just because it was Nick Saban. Maybe it was because he ate an ungodly amount of Little Debbie's cookies. Or maybe it's the fact that he threw Eli Manning off of a tube on the lake, which was also pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't know that was like a tradition.
I didn't either, but that's cool.
His players, but he brings them all out to his house, which is on a lake, and he gets his boat out, and he puts them on this rubber raft, like a big inner tube.
Big inflator, inner tube.
And he drags them around the lake, and he intentionally tries to knock them off. And I guess it was one player, some big old lineman, a year
400-pound lineman,
that he could not get off that tube. He's the only guy I ever failed to get in the water, and he got Eli pretty good. I think he got him twice.
It was pretty good. I thought it was a good episode, good interview. I like Saban. You see that hard side of him, when he's coaching and yelling at players. But this was kind of cool to see. I like seeing these hard, I would say they're not mean, but you just see these just loud and
a tough coach.
Tough coach. Yeah, I was going to say angry,
side.
not angry. There's a word I'm trying to think of, and I'm just brain farting on it right now.
But yeah, it was okay. But if you're a fan of Nick Saban,
maybe.
Yeah, intense is a good word. But yeah, this was all about Nick Saban, and it was okay. But
I liked it.
Not as good as the first two, I thought. But,
I liked it. All it was missing was apparently I've always heard stories about his wife, how cool his wife is. I would love to have seen her interact.
Yeah, they didn't show her at all.
Yeah, but they talked about her. But yeah, other than that, Eli, and I've seen some Peyton's Places, and I loved Peyton's Places. Eli, I do feel like it's a little watered down version of Peyton's Places.
They use the same music.
Same music, same format.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Eli's got the same charisma as Peyton.
No, he doesn't.
But it's fine. He's got his own.
It's still good.
He's got his own.
And the stories are really good. The things that he digs up in college football. So Peyton's got his NFL places, and Eli's got the college places. Yeah. So a good compliment.
And pretty soon Cooper will have the high school places.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube. The channel is up to 943 subscribers.
Ooh.
They're getting closer all the time. They're looking to get to 1,000 subscribers. You can help them out by subscribing. This is a great site, and the game that they
channel. God, you keep calling it a site. It's a channel.
All right,
on YouTube.
Channel. It's a great YouTube channel
that everybody should subscribe to.
Yes, the game that they uploaded this week was the Arizona Rattlers against the New York City Hawks. And this was a 1998 preseason game, which they didn't play preseason for very many years. Only a couple that I know of. But I think we went to a preseason game.
You did. That's when you first saw Clint Dolezal.
But anyway, a preseason game that was actually played in Hartford, Connecticut. Former Dallas Cowboys quarterback and punter Danny White was the head coach of the Rattlers at the time.
Yep.
So go check that game out. New York City Hawks. They were only around for 2 seasons. I think this was their
one of the coolest names, one of the coolest logos in the Arena League.
Yeah, this was their second. What I thought was cool about the video or the show is they had like an animation of the City Hawks team because they were like the home team, and what I didn't realize was that the City Hawks head had like the skyline of New York. You could see the Empire State Building built into their logo, which I never knew that before. Yeah. So it was a cool animation to start the broadcast out with, and they've done that with a couple of teams. So go check that out. This was the second year that they were actually in the league, and then they folded after that or went somewhere else. I can't remember. Okay, a couple of obituaries to talk about this week. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is a big one for us Lions fans. Roger Brown, a defensive end in the NFL for 10 seasons, has passed away at the age of 84. Brown played college football at Maryland Eastern Shore and was selected in the 4th round of the 1960 NFL Draft by our beloved Detroit Lions. He played in Detroit from 1960 to 1966, and he finished his career with the Los Angeles Rams from 1967 to 1969. In 1962, Brown helped the Lions' defense record a franchise record 11 sacks against the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving Day. Brown recorded 7 of those sacks himself. He played on the Lions and the Rams versions of the Fearsome Foursome defensive front. Brown was inducted into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame in 1997, the College Football Hall of Fame in 2009, the Black College Football Hall of Fame in 2015, and the Pride of the Lions in 2018. And he had a restaurant in Portsmouth, Virginia, that my brother and I actually went to several years ago. Unfortunately, he was not there that day, but they had a bunch of autographed pictures at the the maitre d's table or whatever, and so I think I got one of those. But it was too bad that I didn't get to meet him that day. But we did go to his restaurant. Excellent food. I had a flank steak and collard greens. Never had collard greens before in my life. Not bad. They're pretty tasty. I liked them.
That's good.
I don't know how they prepared them, but good.
All right, moving on. Our next obituary is that of David Patton, a wide receiver in the NFL for 12 seasons, and has passed away by a motorcycle accident at the age of 47.
Yeah.
Patton played college football at Western Carolina. He began his pro career with the Albany Firebirds of the Arena Football League in 1996. He then signed with the New York Giants and played for the team from 1997 to 1999. He also played for the Cleveland Browns in 2000, the New England Patriots from 2001 to 2004, the Washington Redskins in 2005 and 2006, and the New Orleans Saints in 2007 and 2008. Patton won 3 Super Bowl titles with the Patriots during his stint there.
Yeah, 4 years with the team and get 3 Super Bowl titles. Not bad.
Yeah.
All right, our next obituary is that of Tunch Ilkin, a tackle in the NFL for 14 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 63. Ilkin played college football at Indiana State and was selected in the 6th round of the 1980 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played for the Steelers from 1980 to 1992, and he finished his playing career with the Green Bay Packers in 1993. He returned to the Steelers and spent 23 years in the broadcast booth as a color analyst for the team. Ilkin is scheduled to be inducted into the Steelers Hall of Fame later this year.
All right, and our final obituary this week is that of Junior Coffey, a running back in the NFL for 5 seasons, and has passed away at the age of 79. Coffey played college football at Washington and was selected in the 7th round of the 1965 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers. He just played 1 season with the Packers in 1965 and then went on to play for the Atlanta Falcons in 1966, 1967, and part of 1969. He was traded to the New York Giants midway through that 1969 season. He played 1 more season with the Giants in 1971.
All right, we also have a couple of birthdays today. September 21st, quarterback John Ketna turns 49 years old today. He played his college football at Central Washington, and he signed as an undrafted free agent. He spent 14 seasons in the NFL. He was with the Seattle Seahawks, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Detroit Lions, and the Dallas Cowboys over the course of his career.
All right.
Oh, do you want me to do the other one?
Is there another one? Oh.
Yeah, wide receiver Reggie Rucker turned 74 years old today. He played his college football at Boston University, and he played 12 NFL seasons. He was also an undrafted free agent. He was with the Dallas Cowboys in 1970, the Cowboys, Giants, and Patriots in 1971, the New England Patriots from 72 to 74, and the Cleveland Browns from 75 to 81.
It gave me a heart attack. I was like, I never read the birthdays.
Well, I think you stepped in last week, and I just kind of thought,
when you get lost, and apparently you got lost again.
Yeah. No, I wasn't lost this week.
All right, well, no breaking news, no nothing. We're in the clear. We're definitely running over our typical time we try to.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
okay.
I'm not saying wrap it up, but you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Okay. Well, let's move right on to this week's history lesson. And this week we're going to talk about the first legal forward pass in college football. In 1905, 19 young men died while playing the game of football. It was a very rough game at the time, and players wore little safety equipment, if any. On December 4th of that year, President Teddy Roosevelt gathered representatives from Harvard, Yale, and Princeton, as well as Walter Camp, to the White House to talk about what could be done to make the game safer. As a result of that meeting, an organization was formed called the Intercollegiate Athletic Association of the United States. In 1910, that organization would change its name to the National Collegiate Athletic Association, or the NCAA. One of the first things that the new organization did was make 25 changes to the rules. The most significant was the legalization of the forward pass in January of 1906. The idea was to spread players from sideline to sideline and do away with what was known as mass momentum plays in favor of a more open style of play. One person who was not in favor of making the forward pass legal was Walter Camp himself. To prevent its use, he made sure that tough restrictions were set in place to keep teams from wanting to use the forward pass. Also, the ball itself was more watermelon-shaped than it is today, making it much harder to throw with any amount of accuracy. However, some teams saw the benefit of the forward pass and were willing to give it a try anyway. The first official forward pass in college football occurred on September 5, 1906, in a game between the St. Louis University Billikens and the Carroll College Pioneers. The first attempt at a forward pass went incomplete, and was untouched by a player from either team. According to the rules at the time, this resulted in a change of possession. Later in the game, a second attempt at a forward pass was made. St. Louis halfback Bradbury Robinson completed a 20-yard pass to receiver Jack Schneider that he ran in for a touchdown. St. Louis went on to win the game 22-0 and posted an 11-0 record that season. The Billikens also outscored their opponents that season 407-11. Even though the forward pass was a part of the rule book beginning in 1906, many teams, especially those on the East Coast, refused to use it. Instead, they continued to play a running style of football that they had always used. It was not until 1913 when a small, unknown Catholic school from Indiana shocked the football world by beating the mighty Cadets of West Point using the forward pass. Quarterback Gus Doré and end Newt Rockne made headlines across the country as Notre Dame beat Army 35-13 on November 1st, 1913, and brought the passing game to the forefront of college football. The forward pass is such a big part of today's game that it is almost impossible to imagine a time when it was not in the rule book. And it all started with St. Louis Billikens players Bradbury Robinson and Jack Schneider.
Yeah, I was wondering when you sent me all the information earlier this weekend about the game in Canada. I was like, oh, this might be an interesting history lesson, not knowing that that's what you were doing for your history lesson.
Well, yeah, the game up in Canada where, what was his name? Frank...
oh my, it's your history lesson.
Frank Shaughnessy, that took place in 1901. This game here was 1906 here in the States. You don't get to talk about the St. Louis Billikens very much.
Bless you.
So, but it's a very interesting story, and
yeah.
We just thought we would feature that this week. Okay, upcoming events calendar. October 10th, the New York Jets and the Atlanta Falcons will play in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium,
which you can see in Ted Lasso.
And October 17th, they're going to have their second and final game in London, the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, same stadium.
Which you could also see in Ted Lasso.
And November 20th marks the end of the CFL's shortened 14-game regular season this year.
And the teams that don't make it into the playoffs for the CFL will be at home watching Ted Lasso.
God. All right. That's it for this week's show. If you... learned,
wow, you're not even gonna try to banter. You're just gonna try to get out of here.
If you learned something this week, which I highly doubted,
that Ted Lasso is a great show and has won many Emmys,
about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can find Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus, which is not a sponsor of this show. I thought for sure you would just stop me from even reading my next thing because you knew I'd do a bit, but I appreciate it. Yeah. You can also appreciate us by giving us a like on the World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, highlights, and videos from all over the world of football. You can also follow our Twitter account. That address is at TWOF Kalamazoo as well. New episodes of this very podcast are posted every single Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, where Apple, goes back to Apple TV Plus.
Keep reading.
Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where if you've never watched Ted Lasso, you could go look up clips or other great football-related videos, including the ones we post on our very own YouTube channel, which is
just read what's in
I'm finishing reading I'm reading the copy edit here, and you're getting on me. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo. So do a search for us, give us a subscribe. We would very much appreciate it. And any feedback that you guys can give us on some of the videos. We're already making some tweaks to this week's stuff.
Ted Lasso talk.
Wow, I wasn't even bringing them up this time. So please subscribe, rate, review. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment. Should we have a segment on the show for Ted Lasso? Let us know what you think. And please come be a part of the Ted Lasso conversation.
Yeah, and
God, I love derailing your
Once
your
again,
script.
we're doing our weekly NFL picks, but this year they are available exclusively on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
That's the World of Football Kalamazoo. So look for them every Thursday throughout the NFL season.
Yeah, we're getting ready to prep that in a little bit.
Yep.
And we might actually get... It's weird. I'm back on first shift, so I might be able to get a lot of this stuff done today.
Okay, cool.
So this will be a nice change of pace, I hope.
Yeah. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football, and I might include some Ted Lasso crap. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
Oh, you just walked over. I was going to have a great bit where I was going to say, some people may love Ted Lasso more than me, but nobody loves Ted Lasso more than me.
Nobody hates Ted Lasso more than I do.
And you watch one episode. God, I can't believe you. Everybody fire at him in the Twitters. Do it. Do it now.
Yeah.
Attack him. Tell him he's wrong.
We'll see you all next week.